All right, we are doing some breaking news coverage on the Media Marketing Podcast, which is a little unique because sometimes it's hard to stay on schedule, but there was such an awesome opportunity that came up on LinkedIn. Yep, a platform that's already been booming this year, been trending in the last couple of years as a platform. But they just released, I don't know if they're going full scale. I'll get into some of the details of whether I think they're just like testing it out. But that is LinkedIn Stories. So you've seen it on Instagram, you've seen it on Facebook. YouTube rolled it out a little bit earlier this year or within the last few months. And now they're coming out with LinkedIn Stories. So let's jump right into it.
Thank you for checking out the Media Marketing Podcast, a place where you can learn all things media and marketing related. Don't miss a beat in boosting your business and your brand. In each episode, you'll gain valuable insights, tools, and strategies to apply to your marketing efforts. And now your host, Brian Cargill.
Okay, so I'm going to start at the place where I think a lot of us are at, which is Instagram stories. So Instagram stories have been out for a while now. They are another way to be able to engage with your audience. It's like kind of an extra behind the scenes way to show people what you're doing, or maybe show another side of yourself that you don't normally show in a post, especially on Instagram, where it's going to be, you post that and it kind of lives for a long time. Whereas you post something on your LinkedIn wall and it's going to just keep moving down that wall. So some things to consider as this is a different platform. What I'm thinking is going to be the trend for LinkedIn stories is it's going to need to be more professional. So being able to connect with people in a way that is appropriate for that platform, which is what I think a lot of people are finding, so myself included, as you can't post the same thing on Facebook that you would on LinkedIn. You have to change it to be able to cater to that audience. All these little things that go a long way, which is like, how many hashtags are you using? Are they the appropriate hashtags? What is the copy length? How many are you using? A photo? Are you using video? Are you using media? So these are all the things that go into all of that. And so what's going to be cool about LinkedIn Stories is that you're able to connect on a whole nother level. And I think what's going to be exciting for LinkedIn in particular is now you can showcase like maybe some more of the fun things, whereas it might not be appropriate to like film a video of you at the driving range or, playing around of golf. But for LinkedIn stories, if you're like, hey, we're out here, maybe we're doing a charity event. It's a good way to showcase what your company is doing. And yeah, just in a whole nother like kind of intimate light, especially if you're a company that's looking to hire more people. So you're doing a lot of recruiting. This is a good way for people to get a sense of what the company culture is like. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but there's ways of maybe capturing some of this and montaging it. It's just another way of getting your employees to engage and interact with your brand in the form of media. And I think what's going to make it unique is that it's not that you're so much like bragging about your organization or what you're doing, but it's just another way to showcase some of the things you're doing. I don't know. Some of the things that come to mind for me are you think of like the fun, like food items that sometimes come through the office, like highlighting some of those things, whether it's like cakes or fruit baskets, any number of things. Those are some fun things to showcase, which don't always make sense as a post, but for a story, like who knows? And then everyone within the company could also post those to their stories as well. So I've already highlighted, it's more of a behind the scenes look. I think for my freelancer friends out there, this is an exciting way to continue to showcase your portfolio and all that goes into your portfolio, especially if you like sell a product, showing that process that goes into it. I think a lot of people have appreciation for the amount of work that goes into something. And also if you have a product, similar to my own, like when it comes to video, a lot of people don't know how much goes into a video. So showing that behind the scenes, showing what you're doing day in, day out is a good way to give people like a sense of like, oh, okay, this is like actual value for my dollar is going a long way with this service. So, and then I would say, it's like once you know what's working, like kind of triple down on that. So make sure you're focusing, try in the first early stages. This is what I'm going to be doing as well, is like trying a handful of things, not getting too crazy with it because it's LinkedIn. So you want to still keep it appropriate to that audience. But then once I realize what's kind of what piques people's interest or gets people to want to engage, I will then triple down on doing that kind of content, and still, like, post things that sound meaningful to me, that that aren't always metrics based, but also like showcase the human side of you. um, just kind of having that balance is a good way of going about it. Okay, so why am I excited about this platform? So it is one more way to be able to connect and test your audience. So as I was mentioning before, like tripling down on what people like. Well, how can you test what people like? Usually it's done through polls, trial of what people are watching, actually asking a question to your audience. And I will get into that a little bit later about one of the features that I think is pretty spectacular about this platform. Or not spectacular, but I think what is going to make it stand out in these early stages. But just engaging with your audience, seeing what works. And this is one more way to connect with people on LinkedIn, whereas before it was just through text, direct message, posting to your board, etc. So the other thing that makes it exciting is that it allows for you to provide more intelligent content, I think. And so I think this is one of the another differentiator from LinkedIn and Instagram, is that Instagram is a platform where it's fun. You're just kind of showcasing some things. And I think it still has that just kind of sliver of being just excited, or not excited, but just being like fun and dramatized and like, hey, look at me, I'm at the beach. But whereas LinkedIn, it feels like it's actual thought pieces. Instagram is getting a little bit of that, but I feel like from the very beginning, it's been rooted in like thoughtful content that is like, how can you improve your business? How can you recruit higher quality employees? All of these things go into the considerations for what people are posting on LinkedIn. So overall, more intelligent content. I'm starting to see as a trend, this is a highlight here, is like kind of self-improvement content, where maybe this is just like how the algorithms are working for me. But I feel like overall, if you're seeing content that's like, how can I make my business better? How can look at how this improved my employees' overall happiness. Like these are the types of content that you see on there. A big thank you to our sponsors over at songtub.com. That's right, song or music and a tub, like a bath, but more fun to say. Tub. Anyway, you can check out Songtub's website for any of your music needs. In fact, the song playing in the background right now is from Songtub. So why pick them over anyone else? Well, they curate the music. And I know the guys, so that means I know that they're selecting great music for your project. A lot of other companies will brag about how many songs they have, maybe 100,000, 200,000, maybe even 1 million. But honestly, I don't have time for that. I don't have the time to just sit down and go next, a song not so great, trying to figure out where the best music is. Songtub.com, great place to get your music. And now I'm excited to offer you the first month for free if you go to songtub.com/pro, P-R-O, and we have a promo code for you. Yes, that's right, my name, your host, Brian, B-R-Y-A-N, and that will give you your first month free to have access to a huge music library that you can use towards your next video project, podcast, or any of your general audio needs. Anyway, back to the show. My predictions for how this platform, LinkedIn Stories, will be different than anything else we've really seen is I think people's attention span or tolerance is maybe a better way to describe it, is going to be shorter. And you're going to have to provide value very quickly. And especially as this is an early platform, like making sure that you're providing that value add in the early stages is going to be key, because you're going to kind of like lose people's trust if you mess around a little too much on this platform or don't take it as serious and don't give it the the credibility it deserves, because LinkedIn is an established base company, and this is just like one extra feature. And so whereas some of these other ones were this all based on this feature, namely Snapchat is one of the big ones. This just adds one more competitor in there, so it's interesting. My other prediction is, this will be probably one of the more serious platforms for stories. If my memory serves me correct, I would say Yeah, it'd probably be Instagram like the lowest, Facebook next on that tier. Then YouTube probably being a little bit more serious, just because YouTube quality of content is rising quite a bit. And then LinkedIn probably being at the top of all of that for how serious you want to maybe make your content. It's changing slowly, but something to keep in mind. Okay, the opportunity cost. So like for how much effort you're going to put in, for what you're going to receive on the back end of how much time and effort you put into it. I still need to test it myself, but I think in my mind it is like low thought. You don't have to put a ton of planning or prep into just kind of the day-to-day interactions. I'm going to use that great quote from Gary Vaynerchuk, which is like document, don't create. So just going through your day, like I said, day-to-day actions and giving the behind the scenes look without putting too much effort into it kind of comes off as authentic, as real. Which doesn't mean you can't do some planning. I would say this isn't a top priority, but thinking of like a campaign that you could produce, which showcases like, I don't know, get creative with it, but all of the stages of something that happens in a day, and it kind of wraps up a day. But I don't know if I would invest a ton of time into that yet, because after doing some research, it doesn't look like LinkedIn at this time has a way for you to be able to pin the story to the top. So all of that work could be lost. So something to keep in mind. I don't know if they're going to have a database like Instagram that you can, or an archive that you can pull past data into. I would imagine they would, but you never know. This is beta testing, early stages, different platform. I don't know these guys. I don't know kind of what the track record is with things like this. The next thing to consider is, it's quick to capture. You just have your phone right there. Fast results. So what makes this different is these campaigns, let's call them campaigns. The posts that you do daily, they're only going to last for 24 hours, and then they're going to disappear completely. So that way you only get to analyze the results within that 24-hour time period. So being selective of when you post, what time of day, how, if you're like kind of stringing people along a process, making sure that there isn't like a lull between all of that, which I'm not always good about, but it's also, goes with the creative process. But if you're a company, you have the resources to be able to do it beyond just one person. But yeah, personal brand and having a business, like you kind of have different resources, and depending on what tactic you're going after. So just for me, like it's not always top priority, but I'm interested to see if the results on LinkedIn, if they actually are pretty profound, that it would be a good use of my time and resources, because LinkedIn is a powerful engine for freelancers. I will tell you that. Okay, drum roll. This is the intriguing feature, the feature that absolutely stands out in my mind as an interesting, factor that I'm just curious about. But they have a feature called Question of the Day, and I haven't done too much. That's kind of the baseline. I haven't tested it out, but from what I understand or kind of assume is if you only have, you can only ask one question of the day. That puts more like kind of more pressure on it. It just makes it more intriguing for people to pay attention, and that kind of plays into the fast nature of these platforms, where like the content disappears in 24 hours. So if you only have one question that you can ask that day, maybe you can only wait another 24 hours till you can ask the next question. I'm not quite sure how the feature works out, but what's interesting from a marketing perspective, it's easy to remember. So like, hey, what features does LinkedIn Stories have? You'd be like, oh, question of the day. You're like, oh, great. From their perspective, I would imagine it's like it was low cost to build it. I didn't see too many other features in there, but I didn't dig around a ton. But from a development perspective, that's just one little basic widget. I don't know why I say basic, because it's actually really hard to design these things. But one feature like that you would plug into the software and then see if people interact with it. And I don't know what the success rate of questions are on the other platforms, but it'll be very intriguing to see how that works out. I'm excited to test it out and see if people actually interact with it. I sometimes have a hard time with people interacting with questions on other platforms, but who knows? Okay, so wishes, things that I wish this platform would have is maybe some cool filters on there, where you, similar to Instagram, obviously don't copy Instagram, but something that just maybe feels like LinkedIn overall. So you swipe and you have a filter on there that makes it unique. And some of the other cool features I wish they had is some ways to engage. So I kind of I'm interested if they do eventually bring out polls and ways for people to just, engage, cast judgment, or like show that they care or want to like make a statement within your, like, for your product or for an idea or a concept that you're going for, but they don't want to be so invested they have to, write a whole long synopsis. They just say, hey, yes, no, and it helps you along the way. So thank you everyone that has supported my polls over the years. I really appreciate it. That helps me gives me a better understanding of how, like, what way to take my content overall. So a cactus knows how to survive. It can endure scorching heat, limited rainfall, and defends itself against critters daily. Your business is no different. To survive harsh conditions, it's important to develop deep roots using media content that'll continuously nourish and support your marketing efforts day after day. Tactus Media is here to help you determine a strategy and create media content. Together, let's map out the next sequence of videos, podcasts, and social media to help your business thrive. Work with Tactus Media. Media tactics that stick. Ouch! Visit tactusmedia.com to learn more. The next one is, something that I wish they would have is like data visualization. So like pie charts, but things that are even more clever than that, just because I think there's a lot of data that like people on LinkedIn would be very fascinated and very curious about. And I think the visualization of this data makes it just that much more intriguing and more useful to people that don't always think very binary. People that think like more creative or more abstractly, where it's like maybe to scale is how you see the world, or I don't know, any number of things. That's not my field, but that's just a thing that I thought would be interesting. All right, so last but not least, let's see, how long have we been going for? This has been, 24 minutes. This has been a solid episode so far. So my final way that I want to conclude is give you guys some bonus tips, like ways that if you're doing LinkedIn stories, ways that I would just enhance them, take them to the next level, very simple, but effective ways to bump that up. So I have them in 3 categories and then a bonus. So on camera, my recommendation is to do as many takes as it takes to make it work out. So for example, I've done 3 or 4 takes just to make sure that I had the phrasing and the cadence down. And it feels kind of silly to be doing it, but then the end result, you don't see all of the different takes. So you're just like, oh, that sounds like a very natural conversational tone. That looks great. Especially with something that is so short as like an Instagram story. You kind of want to make sure that the words are very thoughtful and they're put together well, because you have a short amount of time to get people hooked and excited about whatever it is that you're talking about. So next tip is lighting. So this is like a kind of a fun tip while we're moving into these fall months. Often there are clouds here in the Northwest, but so standing in front of a window is a great way to get kind of natural lighting, and just using that window light, it's not going to look as harsh as the light that comes off of a lamp or from the ceiling. So that nice filtered cloud, if it's cloudy. If it's not cloudy, you can do, you can put any number of things up in front of it, curtains or blinds, any number of things, and those will help. So the next tip is audio. So listen for background noise. Like, is there background music playing? Is there television going on? Is there trucks going by? Those are all things to be cognizant of while you're recording. And it's, like I said before, it's short. So if there's things going on in the background, you want to make sure that you hear those. Sorry, I had to do a quick check because I thought I heard something in the background. Once you start talking about it, you start thinking about it. So the next one is bonus. So thank you everyone for listening so far. I hope this has been valuable for you. This has been really fun for me because this is a new platform. I'm really excited for it to come out. But my bonus tip is to make sure that you look into the camera lens. That's a big part of all of this, is making it sound as authentic, as normal as possible. So looking into the camera, it can feel a little bit weird because you're not talking to a person, but I promise you, I assure you that over time, you'll practice and it'll feel a lot more natural and you'll get the hang of it in no time. So, all right. I've been stumbling a little bit here at the end, and that's because I've had a long day. We did 2 recordings in one day. This has been a record for me, but it makes me really happy to do these recordings for you guys. So until next time, have a good Friday. See ya. I want to say a big thanks for tuning into the Media Marketing Podcast. Please subscribe to get notifications for new episodes, which are coming out every Thursday morning, or at least we're striving for that. Feel free to visit our Facebook page where you can like and join the media marketing community. This is a good resource for collaborating, sharing ideas with other media creators, marketers, and those just looking to build their network. So until next time.